welcome to this video in the series on how to do academic research. My name is Jacob. I'm a high school teacher, college teacher, and today I'm a YouTuber. So we're making a video, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to find a topic and to start the research process so that you can write a proposal for a paper that you intend to write. I will specifically be talking about how to do this for my class that I'm teaching, but this may be useful to many of you, so feel free to stick around and hopefully learn something as well. Okay, let's talk about how the academic process works and why you want to go through this step. Okay, so in the real world, I say the real world, if you are an academic and you have an idea and you want to present it to the world, there's usually a series of steps that you go through depending on where you work. If you're working in academia, which is, colleges, universities, places like that. If you're working in academia, you probably start testing out your idea at conferences. Now, one reason why professors do this is their college, their university may require them to publish and to participate in the academic world to contribute to what the world has. It also makes that college or university look really good when people from them go out into the world and share their wisdom, right? Okay, so making sure that's focused. The first step is to get into the conference, which usually starts with writing up a proposal that you send in. You're like, hey, this panel sounds like it's talking about something I've been researching. And so you write up kind of like a long paragraph explaining your idea. What that paragraph is going to try and do, it doesn't necessarily mean that someone has actually done the research yet, though they probably are at least aware of it. What that paragraph represents is it gives the people reviewing the submission an idea that there is a problem and kind of an idea of the kind of research that is out there, and to give them an idea of what you are going to present if you show up. So for my class, I'm asking for, I don't have it in front of me, something like 250 words. That does just that. You want to show me, reference a couple sources showing that there's a problem that exists, kind of give me a heads up on what you're going to do. What that does for me as a teacher is it gives me an idea that you're not going to spend the next couple weeks researching something and you're going to hit a brick wall and run out and, last minute be stressing out. You're going to have to go find something new. No, we don't want that. I want you to be able to find something that you can actually go through their whole process on. So that's what it does for me. What it does for you is you're actually doing a step that real academics go through. They send out a proposal and, maybe they get into a conference or something like that. Now, from this step, assuming that your proposal is accepted, then what you would do is you would go on and you would write a conference paper. Conference papers, depending on the kind of conference, are probably going to be something in the range of 8, 9, 10 pages, double spaced, which, you can read, present it. It's, I don't know, it's going to take you like 15 minutes to read or something like that, depending on how fast you read. And that's about how long your presentation at a conference might be. Again, unless you're presenting something longer. And there might be a couple other people on your panel as well. What we're doing in this class is trying to give you this experience, and that is about as long as your paper has to be. It has to end up being 2,500 words. You need at least 10 scholarly sources. And so this is when we start the process. We figure out what the idea is, and we get started on the research. So let me walk you through how we can do that. All right, so again, here we are on EAC's website. You can start at EACE search. Click on this. You log in, open up your databases, and let's say that you've got an idea. Now, the topic for this specific class isn't the only topic you could research, but in this class, I've narrowed it down to, I want you to talk about the effect of technology on education. So what I've done is I've said that here are these two big things: technology and education. How has one influenced the other? Okay, so anything that falls within that remote field is fair game. Now, at this particular college I teach at, EAC, they like the teachers to narrow down the 102 classes to a topic. When I was a student at EAC, my topic was the environment, and I'll be honest, it was not the least bit interesting to me. So I was like, oh man, what can I do? What can I do that's remotely interesting to me? So I thought about it, and I thought, nuclear meltdowns. Yeah, things blow up. That could be interesting to me, and that's something I could write a paper about. So I ended up doing a research paper, and I did a poor job. I've gotten better since then. But I wrote about 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl and nuclear meltdowns and the environmental impact that had after that. In fact, they're still cleaning up after Chernobyl, which was a long time ago. So you have the same sort of challenge. Maybe you haven't spent much time thinking about education or technology, nor the two together. You're like, I don't know what I want to do. That's fine. You're just doing a research paper on it, and you're going to spend a couple weeks on it, and you don't have to get married to the idea. You just have to commit to it long enough to write a good paper. So why do I choose this topic? Well, that's kind of my expertise. I am currently writing my dissertation. My background is in English, but my doctorate is going to be in e-learning, which is a field in education that has to do with technology. So, ergo, that's why I choose this topic. In fact, I'm in the middle of writing my literature review for my dissertation right now, at the time that I'm writing this. And so here's, at the beginning, I've got about 40 pages on this, and I've got about another 20 I need to write in the next few weeks. So just to give you an idea, I'm not just asking you to do this, I'm going through this myself. My dissertation, I tried to think of different things that I know, that I have some experience with, that I could do an actual experiment with to do something interesting. Now, in this class, you're not required to actually do an experiment. You're basically doing a glorified literature review, which is a research paper where you look at a lot of sources that have already been written, and then you present what you find, right? So basically, your research paper is a long literature, is a 8, 9, 10 page research or literature review. That's one chapter of a 5-chapter dissertation. If you were to go on in school. But the topic that I'm writing on is how to use a computer-based differentiated reading program to provide culturally responsive instruction for Native American students. So, long title. Basically what it comes down to is I want to do an experiment that if I've got a computer-based reading program and I choose articles that relate to the Native American students that I teach, will it help them to read better, to be more engaged, and to be more motivated? That's it. It's really simple. There's a lot of research that backs it up, and that's the purpose of my literature review, is to establish that my experiment makes sense before I do it. Your purpose is to present something that you find interesting within the world of technology and education. In my case, technology is the computer-based reading program. Education is the reading portion that I was talking about. So I'm kind of doing what I'm asking you to do as well. So this is it. All the highlights are things I still need to finish. And these are some of my sources. In your papers at this point, what you're trying to do is show that there's a problem and here's the line of research I'm going to go through to figure out this problem. One of the other things you're going to want to do is include what's called a statement of methodology, which is kind of like how you're going to go about researching this, which is kind of like saying what you will and what you won't research, right? That may sound redundant and unnecessary, but saying what you mean helps you to figure out what you're going to do, right? What this is intended to help you figure out specifically what you're going to do. And I keep saying the word specific over and over and over again, and I really mean that. We are talking about you getting specific here. Some ideas are too big, and some ideas are too small for this kind of paper. And the challenge is finding something that's right for about this length. So let me give you an example. If you're going to prove something, it's hard to do with a literature review. So don't even try to prove anything, right? People can spend years doing research and never prove something. So I want you to remove the word prove from your thought process for the next few weeks, because what you think proves something may not actually prove it in scientific or academic terms, right? What you want to do is be really careful with your words, and you want to look at what the research suggests, or what you're able to infer and interpret and gather from the research that's available. Here's the great thing about research. You don't have to be persuasive. That is not your job. Your job is to identify problems, to come up with a process to investigate the problem, and to present what you've found. That is what academic research does. Academic research does not try to write persuasively. And that is the freedom that is necessary in academic research, so that people don't lie, that people don't cheat, so that people don't skew the data to say something that it doesn't. They simply say what the data says. And so in this case, your data are going to be the 10 or more sources that you identify in your research process. So what I'm showing you here is some of the sources that I found for my dissertation. And you see there's quite a few. Now what you look at here is not MLA citation style. You're going to be doing MLA because you're doing it in an English class. This right here is APA because it's not an English class. So you might be confused if, say, you're in a nursing class and they've done APA before, or you're in a psychology class or something else. That's fine. For those classes, you do the citation style that's appropriate for that. In this class, you need to do MLA because that's appropriate for this class. So there you go. All right. All in all, you want to find at least 10 sources that are relevant to your topic, and you don't want 10 sources that say the exact same thing. What you want are 10 sources that cumulatively, as you put them together, flesh out the problem that you're talking about, gives background information, and maybe, if you can, gives you information towards a solution for that problem. But again, your job is to present what research is available and not to argue what should or needs to be done, because that would probably require a longer paper, and it puts you in the position to try and be persuasive, which is not the intent of this paper. So as you investigate the effect of technology on education, you could say, well, here's a problem. This has had an effect in this way. This is what the research says. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to say, you can do. What you can do, which is common at the end of a research paper, is have a findings section or discussion section, talk about what research could be done in the future. And that's where you could say, like, all right, let's say we're studying cyberbullying, right? How does cyberbullying affect high school teenagers and school? So, boom, you've got technology, you've got education, boom, they're all together. And it really does bring up, like, what could what needs to happen in the future, and you could say, well, this is the research that was available, and maybe this is what needs to happen. We need more research on this, or something like that. Make sense? That is appropriate for this kind of paper. But one thing you should not do is, as you start to research, is to limit your search based on what you think the result will be. Don't do that, because you're limiting what you will look for and what you will accept, and ultimately you are making your own research invalid because you are choosing to not use information that may be relevant. Don't do that. That's why I'm just taking away the need for you to have to be persuasive in this paper. Your job is to, let's say, identify an effect and to discuss it and to present the research that you found that's relevant to that. You don't have to say, this is evil, this is what needs to happen. You just need to talk about the effect, okay? Sound good? Hopefully, yes, no, maybe so, I don't know. Okay. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. Seen a couple things, me ramble a little bit. If you have questions, feel free to ask me in the questions below. But what you're trying to do is write a really good paragraph. You got a thesis statement, you got that statement of methodology I talked about, which is just a fancy sentence for what you will or won't study, right? Don't get boggled down in the phrase statement of methodology. That's just what it is. Your thesis statement says what your argument is, and your statement of methodology says what you will or will not study. Yeah? So, if you have questions, ask me. If you don't, great. Get to work. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.